Lizzie here, I'm just clearing my desk for you because I forgot to do that. Turn my phone off. There we go. Right, we're all sorted. How are you? Are you okay? Have you had a good Monday? Yes, it is Monday. We had a very good weekend this weekend. Our weekend was started on Thursday and finished last night, quite late. But yes, we had a lovely time. Lovely weekend. Seeing lots of lovely things and seeing lots of lovely people. So today is our penultimate Making It Monday for November. And of course, hi Gemma, of course, the Cold and Frosty theme finishes next week with Kath, and I'm sure she's got something beautiful lined up for you. But so this is the penultimate, and you'll see me again in a fortnight's time. So for today, we have our fabulous Ice Baby, which is our fabulous little Gnome there. There we go. Do you notice I'm wearing a matching top? So this is Ice Baby, and rather cute. Now, of course, I made our little gnomes in Cold and Frosty colours because that's the theme of the month. And we've used these colours throughout, so it's worked really well. But we've got two different sorts. You can see we've got two different sorts. We've got a chunky monkey, which is this one here, with a little tingly bell. And we've got this one here, which is the slimline one. So in the pattern, if you've had a look at the pattern, then have a quick look, because you'll see there are two different shapes that you can make. I quite like this one. I think this one would work well on the Christmas tree, actually. And this one I think would just look nice hanging from a door handle, you know, in a little place. I mean, you don't have to put the hanger on, you could just have him like that, and he could be sitting somewhere just keeping somebody company. And he's very squishable, so he's kind of handhold size. Does that make sense? Anyway, yeah, so it's a lovely little pattern, and this is our MIM A44. So we haven't got many more now to the end of the month. If you think there's 52 weeks in the year, we might miss out Christmas week. I'm not sure yet. I haven't got that far, but we'll easily get to the late 40s in our MIMS for this year, which is incredible, really. Thinking we have to, think of all of these designs and create them, and yeah, actually we do have a bit of fun with them, I must admit. And we do like doing it, so it's great fun. So yeah, so this is number 44, so it's just amazing. So let's have a look and see if we can see any familiar names on my list here. I've got a list on my screen. We've got Sharon from YouTube, we've got Sandra and Janet, Lynn, these are all from Facebook, Jan, Eileen, let's have a look, Gillian, we've got Cheryl and Elaine, and Cheryl again. Be a different Cheryl. We've got Karen on here as well, and Anita, and our Jackie's on YouTube, Veronica, and we got Jackie, another Jackie, different Jackie, Veronica, Helen, Patsy, we got Maggie as well. Hi Maggie. We got Pippa. Got to get to actually see live tonight. Such a treat for you. Oh, Pippa, that's lovely. Yeah, sometimes work and family and stuff gets in the way, doesn't it? As long as it's the good stuff. Hi to our Karen. Hi to our Kath as well. To Ellen and to Dominica as well, which is on YouTube. We've got Caroline. Caroline is my hero at the moment. If you're part of Abigail's sewing group and her Star Stitches, you'll know why Caroline is my superhero. We've got Nicola as well. Nicola is on YouTube, and it's just lovely to see you all. Teresa, Hayley. Goodness me, how many? 170. So I'm not going to go through all the names. But it's lovely to have your company. Julie says, can't believe it's Monday again. Julie, neither can I. Today. Hi, Glory from Florida. Hi. We were a little bit late with our MIM this week because obviously we've been gadding about. It was actually all made by Wednesday, but it's the finishing off that we hadn't done. And of course we've been playing. We've been we went to Ely Cathedral for a fabulous gift fair, and that was Kath as well. And also, of course, we had Abigail's workshop over the weekend, which is super. And many thanks to everybody that turned up for Abigail's workshop. We had just under 50 ladies join us for a weekend of table runner makes. And if you're part, like I say, if you're part of Abigail's group or in any way, shape or form, you will have seen the finished table runner. Is absolutely gorgeous. Her fabric choices are always super. So that was lovely, and we had cream tea and chocolates and everything. In fact, underneath that pink hat, I've got more chocolates that I snuck away. Don't tell anybody. So welcome to everybody that's joined me this evening. We've got a nice, easy project, and I know that Abigail says, hello, bonjour, hola. That's very multi-continental. I know if any of you have read the pattern, you'll know that this bottom part is actually like Drunkard's Path patchwork. And please don't be put off by that. Give it a go, okay? Can you hear my bells? That's a little bell. Big bell. Please have a go. If you have an epic fail, which then you cut the back out twice and get an applique shape of the beard and just call it a day. But at least have a little go. And the great thing about a MIM is that they are easy. They've also got something in there that you can learn, which of course is the Drunkard's Path. And to be honest, they are tiny, but you can make a Drunkard's Path yay big, so once you've got your fear of curves out of the way, you'll be fine, honestly. And they are quite easy to put together, even though at the beginning you think, nah, that's not going to work. It really truly does. trust me. So welcome to everybody. Yes, we did have a wonderful weekend, and Jackie came down. You get a tune to those. Don't tempt me, Jackie. And I haven't even had any sherry. Now, Jackie came all the way down from Scotland to see us, and I've promised her I will go up there next time. Karen says she still has a chocolate truffle and a mince pie to eat. We did have huge cream tea boxes full of goodies. Abigail did spoil us, we really did, and I had two, obviously, one each day. In actual fact, John was very grateful, so thank you, Abigail. Yeah, so let's crack on, stop the waffle, and let's start to make Ice Baby. So I'll put him near Teddy. Look, there we go. We put them near Teddy. There we go. Teddy can look after them. They look quite cool there, don't they? And of course, they could be for any year round, or any time of the year, any part of the year, spring, summer, autumn, winter. I'm just going with the theme of our month, which, as I said, is cold and frosty. So I'm going to straight away put you on the overhead so we can see what we're doing. Oh, there we go. I copied Abigail's pink mat. I thought it looked so pretty. I thought I'm going to not snaffle the mat. This is my mat, but I love the colour. So there we are. So we've got our two shapes for front and back. Okay, so there's our two shapes for front and back. This is the back piece as well, and we will have to trim as we go along. So, but if you're using a charm pack like I did, this is the 5 inches of a charm pack. And this is 2.5 inches, so it's half of a charm pack. So to be honest, even these bits that we cut off, you could use for crumb quilting. And this is easy because it means that you can make another one using that fabric, or you actually cut out more of these. So it does work out right in the end. I just wanted you to make sure that I'm not wasting too much fabric with this. Okay, so let's move those bits out of the way. Now, these are the bits that you might think, oh my lord, how are those supposed to go together? I mean, obviously they look okay like that, and if you bring one over the top of the other, generally speaking, in fact, we've got sideways reindeer there. Let's do it that way. Generally speaking, they will fit like that quite nicely. So you think, okay, that'll work, yeah, I can be okay with that. But it's when you come to stitch them that they then start becoming a bit sort of, well, double Dutch really. So my best top tip is, I'll just get a couple of pins in here. We'll do one at a time, so I'll put that one away. The best thing I can say to you is fold these in half, so your side meets your top, and give it a little squidge so you've got a nice pressed piece there, a nice finger press. If you want to use the iron, but you can just see that there's a nice finger crease there. Do the same with this bit. So you're obviously, it's right sides together, or whichever you like. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have the other way, so they nest into each other, because this is going to be this is not going to nest necessarily. So then what you're doing, can you see I've got my crease? You're putting your crease over your crease. So you might, in fact, I wonder if I've got my pen handy so you can see. Let me just reach over and get my pen. So there's my crease there. So let's make a line. Okay, just about see that. And this is the other crease there. Okay, now I can see my creases quite well, but I didn't think you could. So what you're doing is you're putting your creases over the top of each other like that. And in actual fact, when we look at it, that fills that corner. Look, it's kind of parallel to that corner. It fits quite nicely. So that bit makes a fair bit of sense. So then you're going to pin that. In fact, I would pin it so you can easily get it out like that. And that's now joined those two pieces together. But what you've got to do is to get this straight edge here of the white on that straight edge there. Okay, so if I mark it, okay, I'll do an arrow, and I'll do an arrow here, and I'll do a dot here, or a scrapey bit, and a scrapey bit there. So you can see where we're heading, okay? So that arrow has to go to there. So you've got to twist it, and you've got to twist it so all of your pieces sit nicely on top of each other, and they won't want to. So you've got to kind of, and don't use quilter's tape for this. This piece is too small for that. I don't know if anybody would have made that suggestion, which would have seemed obvious, but don't do it. Trust me. So you can see now that my side edge, arrow, is now sitting on top of that straight edge that we put a dot on. And you're going to do the same the other side. So, like I say, it's a small piece, and you will have to hold it nicely. A clip is too heavy, so you just want to just take your time and get those 90-degree angles sitting nicely on top of each other, right sides together, okay? And then you're popping another pin in like that to hold it. Okay. Now the first thing I would suggest to you, and this all does fit, if you put it on the side like that, you can see that it's got the potential to fit. And don't forget, we're stitching a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're not stitching right on the edge, and that does make a difference. And we're going to start with our needle in. So we're going to do 1/4 inch seam there. You can mark it if you want, but the first thing you want to do is put your needle in and then take the pin out. Okay, that's my best suggestion. And then we're just going to work our way around, and I'm going to use my stiletto to help hold the fabrics in place. It's a really good trick to do that, because your fingers are too big, especially with a piece this big. So let's go to the side. We're very close up on the side because I need you to see most of this. I'll put my mat away and bring this in. There we go. Let's try and get it so you can see. So like I said, you're going to put your needle in. Now I haven't got my foot down yet, so I'm just going to, because I want to see what I'm doing. So I'm putting my needle in, and I'm going to take my pin out. And oops, and that will hold it. Don't know where that's gone. That will hold it all in place. Now I can put my foot down. Now using my stiletto, I'm going to work the two curves together, because obviously you've got a convex and a concave curve. They will go, you just got to give it a little bit of time. Take your stitch length down to 2, because we're only stitching a tiny little piece of fabric. So take your stitch length down to 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to manipulate those layers of fabric with your stiletto and just work your way slowly around. So you can see, hopefully, that I'm holding it with my stiletto. As soon as I come to the pin, I remove it. And you might want to move all of this fabric so it's laying nice and flat. And then again, we start to do a little bit more stitching, and you can do a little bit at a time. There's no rush at all. So again, I've just got this second half now, so it doesn't take long, and I'm just bringing my raw edges together with my stiletto and then manoeuvring again. And I'm not taking that last pin out until I'm absolutely sure everything is secure. So, and the other thing is, if you get a little pleat, I would say don't worry about it. That could be a feature of his beard. So, and it could be ironed out. So there we are. We're just coming round to the end. So although in the beginning you think, well, that's never going to fit, it actually does beautifully. Okay, it does beautifully. And any marks you see there is just where excuse me, the fabric has folded as we've gone round. We'll press that out in a minute. Okay, so we'll do that again with the second one. So let's just move everything out of the way. I'll get my pink mat again. This time I'll just use half. So we're going to do exactly the same again. We're going to fold this in half. We're going to make a crease. You can make a mark if you want to. If you want to get it so the creases are sitting on top of each other, oh sorry, lots of fluff, then do wrong sides together on this piece. And what you're doing then is you're putting two valley folds together, and that'll sit much, much nicer. But what you're doing is you're getting a right angle here. Yeah, that's what you're after. And pop a pin in. So let's do this procedure again. So we'll put our dot. I mean, we won't see this when we've brought our edge round, and we're going to put an arrow here. You wouldn't normally draw an arrow. This is just for you, because I want you to be absolutely sure what pieces you're bringing to what piece. Okay, so this arrow is going to go on top of that, and these edges here are going to be parallel. Okay, so I'm bringing it round and twist the whole thing. And like I say, this is quite a small piece. If you can manage this, you could do a whole quilt doing Drunkard's Path. I did do a whole quilt with Drunkard's Path probably about 30 years ago. Goodness knows where it is now. It's probably been thrown away. But it was all Drunkard's Path. It was lovely. So again, we twisted that. And although, look, see, do you see it's not sitting straight? It ought to. There we go. Make it sit straight. Still twiddled a bit. They do like to twiddle because it's going against what it thinks it ought to do. So there we are. So there's our rounded piece on our, not rounded piece, our convex and our concave sitting on top of each other. It looks like a what do you call those? Chinese crackers, doesn't it? If we join those together, we'll end up with a Chinese cracker. So once again, we're going to put it under the needle, and we're just putting the needle in, and then we'll take the pin out, okay? So hopefully you'll be able to see quite clearly. So let's just bring our machine in. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this under. I wonder if my light will make any difference to... Not a lot. So I'm going to pop that under. So I want you to see, I'm just going to pop my needle in, okay? And then I'm going to take my pin out. You can put your foot down first if you want. Put your foot down. And then you're going to take a sharp object of some sort, perhaps some really small embroidery scissors, something like that. Obviously you want to keep them well away from the needle, and you're just going to, I tend to pull out the bottom layer, so this layer here I tend to pull out to meet my white curve. That'd probably be the best description. So on a stitch length of 2 still, because we're working with curves, and it's better to have a smaller stitch length if you're working with curves, and that applies to anything. So I'm just coming round to my first pin, which is in the middle, and I'm going to take that out now. Again, I'm using my stiletto just to hold all my layers together. It's almost having another pin because it's allowing you to grab the fabric. So just start moving things around, and it'll look a bit of a mess because you've got all these bits twiddled, but of course, you know, you're going against what it wants to do. So I've just brought my straight edges together there, so I'm holding that for a moment, coming up to my arrow, take my pin out, and then just finish off that seam. There we go. You can do a back stitch if you want to. And there we are. So there's our second little piece of beard. Now we've got a little tuck there. Can you see? I want you to see that. So what you could do there is, I can see it this side, so you could just unpick that, just stitch, clip into that and pull that. Can you see how I've pulled it and made it straight? And so what you can do now is just go over that little bit again and just make sure that you stitched it correctly, because I think I just went off a little bit off piece there. So let's just put that stitch back in, and hopefully that's right now. There we go, that's fine. Super job, isn't it? So now what we want to do, Susan's saying, lovely cream teas, enjoyed the scones and cream today. Oh, did you, Susan? Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're talking about the cream teas again that Abigail supplied us with. Really lovely. So now the best thing you can do is to give these a press, because they need to be flat. They need to be flat. So I'll just switch my iron on and bring that in. Yes, yes, it was a lovely day. I really enjoyed it. Yes, hi Sarah Jane, hi to you too. Oh, everybody's saying lovely. Oh, Mary, thank you very much for my Christmas card. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're thinking of coming up to Scotland next year, so yeah, more details to follow, I suspect. Hi Lizzie and Kath and everyone. I'm still getting over the weekend. We had a fabulous time. That's Penny. Sarah says hello everyone. Oh, Bridget and Rachel. Oh, we've got Jerry here from Pennsylvania. Hi Jerry. So lots of lovely people joining us. We've got 250 people watching today. That's lots, isn't it? And that's a mixture of YouTube and Facebook. Right, so no, I know it's a tiny little piece, but it does need a press. And you'll find that it'll press out that way. So your curve will go that way. And you'll see all my arrows disappear. And if you've got any best press, use your best press. I got my frankincense and myrrh best press today. I meant to bring it up so I could have a little go with it. And my other best press is just over there. I can't get it at the moment. Just give it a little bit of manipulation. Don't stretch it too much. It'll be tempting. Try and keep it as a sort of a square, so you got something, because we will trim these, because they do tend to go a little bit wonky if you're not careful. And obviously I'm not careful. Because we're dealing with lots of bias here, so just be gentle with it, and best press will help. So that, whatever, if there was a tuck there, it's certainly not there anymore, is it? And there's our first little bit ready to go. Okay, so just turn my iron off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get the pattern up on my screen, because I tell you why, my printer has decided to quit on me, because I did so much printing for Abigail over the weekend that it's saying no, you're not playing. I'm not playing anymore with you. So although that's a little bit wonky, I'm not going to straighten it up at the moment. I may trim it back in a minute. What I'm going to do is join this one to this one, and I'm going to try and get those seams to meet. Now, I shouldn't worry too much if they don't, because it goes quite underneath the gnome. You're not going to, it's not going to stand out like a sore thumb if that doesn't meet, but we'll give it a fighting chance. So just bring it up and try to, it's not going to nest because you've got both seams are going sort of that away. So just try and get it so it sits on top of each other, and perhaps even pop a pin in just to hold it steady. And then we're going to stitch down there. Don't worry if some of your edges, can you see, they don't meet. We're going to absolutely trim this back, okay? The main thing is to get this bit done, and then we can trim it to the size that we actually want. Can you use plush felt for the beard? Well, I don't see any reason why not, as long as you could cope with the drunkard's path. Or, like I said before, you could use... you could just use an applique, so perhaps you could cut your plush felt, sorry, I'm just trying to get you in position, out, or you could, cut some applique out of that. So what we're going to do is join those pieces together, and I'll leave my pin in there for as long as I possibly can. I'm going to increase my stitch length just to 2.5 now. As close as I dare to the pin, and then take your pin out. We don't sew over pins, guys. Only because, I've had an accident with that. One broke and went in my eye, so that's why we don't sew over pins or needles. So now we've stitched that seam. I need to trim it, but like I said before, I will trim it when it's needed and not before. So that's not a bad job. What we need to do is actually open up that seam. Because it's white, if you press to one side, can you see you've got a real white shadow of where that seam is? Well, we might as well equal it up and actually open up that seam, and yeah, it distributes the white, if you like. So let's bring in oh, excuse me, bring in the iron again. There we go. And let me see if I've got any coffee in here. Yeah. Lovely. Very nice. Cold coffee. Yeah. So open up that seam like that. I've got the smallest ironing mat in the world tonight. I've still lost my other one. I think it's with Abigail's mouse. Oh, did you see Adrienne's new adventure? Oh my gosh, she's had one of her designs printed onto 6-inch squares of fabric. I think she's taking pre-orders now because she sold out of the first batch, if you like, because it was a bit of an experiment for her. And as soon as I saw them, I said, oh my word, Adrienne, these are beautiful. They are absolutely going to be loved by everybody, and they have been, because obviously she's sold out. So well done to everybody that got those. But like I say, you can pre-order if you want to, and I think they take a couple of weeks or so. I'm not going to promise anything because it's not my stuff. Oh, Debbie says, Debbie, you were there at the weekend as well. I'm just going to trim that down so it's straight and it's easy on the eye. Yeah, so go ahead and pre-order, and I think she's got more designs coming out, so hopefully we'll see more designs from her. I can't wait, because I'm very keen on that sort of thing, So let's have a look. The rectangle we have previously cut at 5 points, now attached to the back. Okay, yeah, and we're going to trim the other one back, but we're going to trim this back when we've stitched the other one, just because we can. So on one of the triangles. Now, because I cut mine on a charm pack, I know that's my bottom edge because it has a zigzag, you know, a pinked edge to it. Can you see if I do that? It's got a pinked edge to it. So I know that's the bottom. So don't think you're going to add it to one of these sides. So this is going to go right sides together with this. And if you can find the middle again, let's do our usual trick. And then just pop the beard seam right in the centre there, like that. And just put a little pin in. We better put one in the other side as well. There we go. And then on the other one, this is the back. You want to put the other half. Now, this is where you can decide if you want your turning gap on this seam here. Because when you stitch this one together now, which I think I'll do, you're only going to stitch about an inch here and then an inch here and leave a turning gap here, okay? Or when we come to stitch it all the way around, you can leave your turning gap here. So I'm going to let you have the choice of that, actually. Yeah, I know, it's going to become crazy. So pop your other triangle that you've cut from the measurements in the pattern on the back of your other piece, and we're going to stitch all the way along there. Well, no, we're going to stitch that much, and I'm going to leave my turning gap in the back. And on this one, I'm going to stitch all the way along, and then I'm going to trim both pieces so they look lovely and neat. Okay, so let's go back to the machine again. Let's get it in. Bring it in. There we are. Hi Kath. Kath saying hello everybody. Debbie says, can we still order? There's not so much a link. Well, I suppose there is a link, but it's on her website, Debbie. So if you go to her website, or if you find her post, I shared it, Abigail shared it, you'll find it there. And yes, you can just pre-order. They're really super. I've got a sample. Hold on, let me get my sample, because I'm going to make something with it. I hope she doesn't mind me showing you. It's not top secret anymore, is it, anyway? So, and I did fold mine in half, so I want to just apologise for the fact that I folded mine in half. So that is the current design, which is her own painting that she did digitally and had it put onto fabric. And it's a nice quality fabric. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It's kind of halfway between quilting cotton and poly cotton, so it's a lighter weight than quilting cotton, but it will go beautifully with your quilting cottons if you want to insert it into a little quilt or a little cushion, or maybe a pin cushion. Oh no, maybe not a pin cushion. Poor little, is it a hare? Maybe it's a hare with ears that big. I'm not sure. It's a rabbit. Anyway, it's cute as cute can be. So if you head to her website and go on pre-order, I'm pretty sure it's not going to take too long, but don't quote me. I can't promise anything because it's nothing to do with me. But she's done a cracking job. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of both of them. They really do super work. So we've done the front with his beard, so now I'm just going to do a little back stitch just to hold. I'm going to stitch about an inch, a few little back stitches, move along, and little back stitch to start, and just make sure it's all nicely lined up, little back stitch to finish. Okay, we're done. Kathy says it looks gorgeous. Sarah says it looks beautiful. It certainly is, Sarah. It certainly is. So those are my two pieces. I'm just going to spoil myself and bring my big mat up now to iron those pieces. So you can see it's a lovely little make. It's not too hard at all. And you can make loads of these. If you've got a stall over the next few weeks at a craft fair, if you get one of those, well, actually, I wouldn't even buy anything. I would get yourself some twigs out of the garden, and I would make yourself a twig tree and hang these from your tree. I knew I was going to get that wrong. Twig tree. So all I'm doing here, this is the back, and I'm opening that seam up. So when I come to stitch it, can you see I've already got a lovely, lovely turning gap there that's already pressed and neat. And when we do a ladder stitch, that'll close beautifully. Okay, so that's my back. But you could put your turning gap along here. And on the two that I made, I've done both. So you can see. So let's just press that out. And I'm going to open the seam on this as well, because we might as well. Just get our fingers in there. And you can see I do need to trim it, and that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So let's just open that seam up. There we go. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So let's switch the iron off. And I'll bring my mat in, my lovely pink mat. I've only got my pink mat out because Abigail had a pink mat and I thought it looked lovely, so I'm having a pink mat. If she can, I can. Just go right out. Okay, so right, so we've got our two pieces. We've got front and back. Now then, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to trim this. I'm going to put this one on top of there. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right sides together. And I'm just going to trim it so it matches. Okay, and then I don't have to think about that anymore. Let me just get those seams fairly lined up. Get my ruler out. Give it a little trim. There you go. And the sides. Okay, I think they're just about lined up. There we go. And that side there. Super. So now our pieces are the same size. You can see what they look like. So this is where it gets interesting, as I said. And in the pattern, it shows you quite clearly what you need to do next. Certainly, you need to put them right sides together. And if you're making the chunky monkey, the chunky gnome, you're going to stitch all the way around. Obviously you might leave a turning gap here, and you're going to have that sort of shape. If I bring him in, let's have a look. This is what he ends up looking like. So he's got that sort of shape, and he's kind of, he's got hips. if hips are up by his ears, so he's quite shapely. The other one, so I'll put him back and get the other one. The other one is a slim gnome. Now to get that, I'm not going to, because I like the chunky monkey one, but you might want something different. So I would suggest, first of all, get a bigger ruler. Hold on. You take your pen, you go from the tip, and I do show this in the pattern. So I'm going to try and do it without flashing. Take your pen and draw a line from the tip of his hat down to the corner here, okay? And that's the line, excuse me, that's the line you're going to stitch along there, okay? Well, perhaps along there, because you're making a seam, so you want to go from there, right down to the corner there. And you're going to do the same on that side, so you're going 1/4 inch in, and you're coming down to the point here, and that will give you this slimline little gnome. So that's the difference. And it's not much difference, but I quite like the sort of more chunky one. So let's stitch him together. Let's get rid of some bits and pieces here. Okay, so we've got plenty of time. You could have made a couple of these. So let's bring the machine in. He's got his size 8, but Lorna, you know full well that every morning we wake up, we are a size 8. What happens in the day? Well, that's none of my concern. Nothing to do with me whatsoever. But we always start off a size 8. See, Lorna knows. She knows. She heard me say it often enough on Saturday. So it's like, excuse me, I just want to get past. I have my size 8 body on. It's okay. By the end of the day, I'm not even going to tell you what size I felt. All those chocolates and cakes. So because my turning gap is in the back seam, I'm stitching all the way around my little Gnome. If you can, try and get those seams here to match, you know, so they're sitting on top of each other. But if they don't, I'm not going to come round and find out, am I? You're just not going to know. I'm just not going to know. So just take it all the way down, and I'm going to go straight across the bottom. Just make sure I've got all my layers caught. There we go, 1/4 inch all the way round. Do a little back stitch just in case, and there we are. That's our little gnome stitched. There we go. You can clearly see what it looks like. And don't forget, our turning gap is in that back seam there. It's our stuffing gap and our turning gap. Okay, so let's just go back. Now we need to stuff him. So let me just find my stuffing. So I popped it over here. There we go. Lots of stuffing. And there we go. And I need my stuffing stick as well, so let's get that. Sorry, I'm pulling faces so I can get my stick out. Oh gosh, sorry guys. There we are, got it now. Before we do stuffing, we want to put his nose on, and actually it's best to put his nose on before we put the whole thing together. Because obviously it's going to make it a lot easier. I'll try and put the link to my sparkly pom-poms on my Amazon shop so you can see, and if you want to get those, then you can more easily. And I'll put the bells on there as well. I don't think I've got the bells on there now, but right, so we're going to use a very strong cotton thread, okay, a very strong. I'm using Sashiko thread, which is super strong, and I'm also going to use a kind of thicker needle. Wondering if the one I've got is the right one. I think it's okay. So like I said, you want to stitch his nose on before you put it together, really, but I forgot. I'm sure you'll forgive me. So we're going to do a nice knot, or you can do a double thread and catch the loop. I always think that's a really nice strong way. And if I turn him slightly inside out, well, that's probably the best way anyway, isn't it? Let's face it. There we go. Just took his little tip off, and use my pokey tool to push out his hat. And of course he's got definite corners, so you want to push his corners out. And these ones aren't so definite, if you like. They're more sort of curved, so we'll just let that do its own thing. And so now we're going to take our needle, we're going to go through our gap, wherever our gap is. And like I say, it's easier to do this beforehand. So I'm just going to do one stitch just to secure that thread, even though I've got a knot. And because we've got lovely fluffy pom-poms, it means I can put my needle through, make a little there's a gap between where I've come up and where I'm going in of about, let's say, 3 mil, 2 or 3 mil will do. So I go back down and I put my needle back through where I came up. Where is it? I can't see it. There it is. And back up through the back of my little gnome. And that's enough to secure. Obviously you want to make it nice and tight. And then we're just going to do a few stitches just to make sure that that doesn't come off. Now look, if you're making these for children, obviously you're going to use safety eyes or nose, or no, you don't need eyes, but certainly safety noses, all of those things. Please take that all into consideration. this is kind of like just, you know, like a generic thing really. Okay, so there's his nose installed. It looks lovely. I like the white one. That's really nice. So the other one was blue and orange. We also want to put a hanging loop in, and this is a good time to do that as well, to make that really secure. So again, I'm going to put a really nice knot on the end of my thread, and as I said, this is Sashiko thread. You want to use maybe a perlé thread, you know, if you've got some perlé cotton, that would be good. And you can do this now you've stitched it together. You don't have to do this before, it would be a bit difficult. So just get your needle, go inside the little gnome. I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here, and just come up through the tip. You can see. Now I only want the cotton to do one loop, but if you're using ribbon or something like that, then you'll have had to stitch that into the point, whereas with this I don't need to. So I'm going to do a couple of little stitches just to secure this in place. I'm going to go down through again, and I can just get my needle, it's just caught the fabric there. That's it. And I'm going to take it out about there. I just want to make sure I haven't caught my fabric. That's it, I'm okay. So I'm going to take it out about there. And there's an obvious reason why in a sec, why I've done that. But I want my loop about there. So, just going to pop my finger inside, and I'm going to do a couple of little stitches just to secure that in place. Like that. And then I'm just going to put my needle to one side. You can take it off the thread if you want to. I'm just going to pop it in my mat. So you can see what I've done. I've made a loop, I've secured it on the inside, and I've secured it here, which looks a little odd, but it'll work out, I promise. So now we're going to stuff him. And so it's down to you how much stuffing you use, as to how chunky monkey you want him to be. And surprisingly, they take quite a bit actually. Yeah, but if you've got old cushions that you don't want anymore, this is perfect to save the stuffing of old cushions. Absolutely perfect. And of course you could embroider on these. You could put people's names maybe on the back. And the other thing I thought about is, maybe it's a bit late this year, I'm not sure. It depends how fast you stitch. But you could make this section here in his back as a pocket. So it could be an advent calendar. So you could put the number on the front here, or perhaps, you know, I don't know, down here somewhere maybe. So put the number of the day, and then you can make it into an advent. Oh, my throat's so dry. That's better. There. So you can see it takes quite a lot, so I think we'll leave it there. Oh, excuse me. Got a tickle now. So there we are. So I think that's stuffed enough. I think that's fine. Now pick up your thread again, and what you're going to do is that you're going to fold this over and you're going to catch it again. Oh, that's a point. I meant to have put the hanging loop at the top. Oh no. If we've been following along, we've just gone wrong. So I'm just going to undo this bit, because that's where we're going to put the bell. We're going to fold his top over. So let's see if we can undo this. I didn't think I did it that way. You know, when you have a moment. And the only thing is I haven't got my pattern handy because, like I said, I couldn't print it. Although I have got it on my screen, which is handy. But I might have to just cut that and start again. wonder which bit that is. That's that bit there. Let's pull that bit out. Okay, I'm going to keep that stitch in there. Right, as we were, folks, as we were. So you need to put your stitch at the top there like we did. That bit was correct. But what we forgot to do, was to bring the peak of his hat down, so he's got a little fold, and you can make your fold big or small, whatever you like. I quite like it that it's at a little angle, and then you want to catch that before you put the bell on. You want that to be secure. So a couple of little stitches, and this is why we use something really strong, like a perle thread, because that is now really secure. So then we get our bell. I don't know if you can hear that. And we only need one thread for that. But again, I'm just going to go through, bring up the bell. Looks cute. I'll do it again just to secure it properly. And if you want to, you could hot glue that on. You don't have to stitch. Okay, and then we're going to come up to the top and do our loop. So again, we're just going to do a couple of little stitches just there, just to make sure that it's secure. And then we're going to take that needle oops, out through there. So can you see where that needle is coming out? So it's coming out underneath the fold, and then we're just going to secure it. So it's just a case of a couple of little stitches. Just be careful you don't go through all the layers. Just watch that. And then, so a couple of little stitches, not too tight because you don't want to distort anything. Have a little snip, and there we are. I've pulled it too tight. What a twit. What a twit. Honestly, you can't get the staff these days. So let's just do that again. So you've come up through the top. Oh dear. Come up through the top, just as you were before. You need a couple of little stitches to make it nice and strong. Let's just leave it like that. That's our loop. So a stitch to hold it, just a little over stitch like that. So just don't forget to keep your loop. Then put your needle through like we did before. And because we've done a little stitch, it doesn't pull it through, it holds it tight. Look, there we go. That's nice now. Oh dear. And then do a couple of little stitches, just secure it. And as we were. Anybody following me, my goodness me, you've had a job tonight. There we go. There we go. There's our loop. Hurrah. Okay, can you see? Got a lovely little loop there. So he's almost done. He's almost done. He looks really super cute, doesn't he? Yes, as you pull the loop in place, you don't pull it all the way through like I did. You want to hold it, but then when you've got your loop, do a couple of little stitches, just tiny stitches, just to secure that loop, because you don't want to pull that and not have a loop. Yeah, so just be careful. But by hiding all your stitches, it looks really neat. It looks really neat, and I like that his bell is on the side. It's beautiful. So when we come to stitch up the back, we're going to do a ladder stitch. So if any of you have never done a ladder stitch before, this is your moment. So I put a knot in the thread. Excuse me. Just make sure it's a decent knot. You don't want it to pull out. There's lots of ways of doing knots, and I'm sure you have your own way of doing them. And what we're going to do is we're going to bury that knot in the fold underneath this fabric here. So where it's folded back on the 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to bury my knot in that fold. So you just need to get your needle in there and just bring it up on the crease. So that knot is now in that seam allowance. You can't see it, but my thread has come through to the front. So you're going across to the other side and you're just kind of going in the fold, and it's only, you only want to do 2 or 3 millimeters. So you've got your needle come through that way. Now you want to hop across, and again about, well, perhaps 3 millimeters is max, and you're burying your thread in the seam that you folded over. So come across again, and you're just hopping so you can see what it looks like. I'm just using ordinary thread, so just hop over to the other side, 2 or 3 millimeters, nice little stitch, and you're just hopping from one side to the other, and your thread is buried, as I said, in the fold of your turning gap. So let's just pop that in there again. And if you've overstuffed it, obviously your gap will be sort of more apart. Now we're not using perlé thread here, we're just using ordinary thread. So when we come to gather this up, so I'm just leaving it like this so you can see it, but when we come to pull it, and you've left yours like this, I want you to be really, excuse me, really careful about how hard you pull. If you pull too hard and too quickly, it'll snap all your threads. You don't want to be using a perlé thread for this. You do want to be using just your regular thread. So there we are. So let's just, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. I was going to go in the other side, but I don't think it needs to be. Okay, so then all you're going to do is just gently pull those threads together. You can see that both seams come together beautifully, and it hides your turning gap. And if you're making anything with fur, then you can see it's actually more, it's almost totally invisible. It's just you're finishing off, you want to make super duper neat. So because we've done a back stitch with our machine stitching, I'm going to use the strength of that, if I can, to finish my stitches off. Oh, that's super tough. I must have done a lot of back stitches, but that'll anchor it. Gosh, let's see if I can get my needle in there. Hold on. Just want to pull that tight again. Do you see? As it will come undone if you're not careful. So I'm putting my thumb on there to hold it, and it still could do with a little bit of a jiggery pokery, but I'll leave it for the time being. So just a couple of tiny little stitches just to secure your thread, nothing more. And if you want to, you could run your thread right to the side of your work and then cut it off there, and then that will never come undone because you've got no short ends there. I could have done with pulling that a bit tighter, but you get the gist of it. So there we are. So there's our second little gnome made, and he's our little chunky one, and I think you'll agree he's a really smart little gnome. I love the colours, don't you? I love the blues and whites together. I'm a real blue, and well, you can tell I'm a real blue and white girl, a blue and white fan. Yeah. Anyway, he's super duper, and of course you can add other things to him. He's got his bell, but you could add some sequins to him so he sparkles. Like I say, you could put the back, you could make into a pocket so he could be an advent calendar, and you could have the number or something down here, so you know which one is the next one. I'd say open them all at the same time on day one. I would, especially if they've got chocolate in. So there we are. So now we've got this little chap, this little chap with his blue nose, this little chap with his white nose, and we've got this little chap with his yellow nose. So we've got a plethora of gnomes, and I think they're gorgeous. So there we are, we're dead on time. It's like I timed it, it's like I did it specially. Thank you ever so much for watching. I've really enjoyed the hour. I'm sorry we had a couple of slip-ups. I'm tired. Don't forget to go and order your beautiful 6x6 little rabbit square there I think he would look gorgeous. In fact, I would be inclined maybe to add some French knots in there, to do maybe some hand embroidery, some machine embroidery. You could extend his sort of shadow there and have some grass coming up here and some flowers, and put him in a hoop, so you've got the tension there to do the machine embroidery with. In fact, you could probably keep him in a hoop and have him hanging up in the hoop rather than pop him on a cushion or a quilt or on a beautiful purse or something like that. But yeah, go and have a look-see. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, very super proud of Adrian for that. Okay, lovely to have your company. So good to see you all again on a Monday evening. I will see the gold members on Thursday evening, and we have our mid-month madness pattern with our calf. And I don't know what it is. I probably do, but I think I've forgotten. So that's going to be fun. So if you're a gold member, I will see you on Thursday with the new pattern on Thursday. I think that's going to be super fun. If you are a gold member as well, don't forget that you can download your little ice gnome, your ice baby, for free on your projects page on the website, and that is absolutely free. So well done if you're a goldie. If you're a November DigiPass holder, of course there is your special page on the website, so you can go and download it from there. If you're neither of those, then you can head to the website, and just for £1 you can have that pattern and create some lovely little gnomes for maybe for Christmas, but maybe for all year round. I think you can do all sorts of fun with that. But if you manage to do the drunkard's path, well done. That's what this was all about, really. It was secret, really. I just wanted you to do a drunkard's path. Right, I shall see you all again soon. Have a super duper week. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Get your sherry out, put your feet up, and enjoy a nice bit of football.